Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Welcome to That's Total Mom Sense. We're excited to share that this episode is part of our ongoing collaboration with Augie, founded by my friend Lily Walla. Augie, spelled AUGGIE.com, is the most trusted community for parents to find answers. Inside their app, parents get stage-specific guidance, expert content, on-demand events, and a supportive network that reduces the mental load of figuring everything out alone for free. Each month, we'll share a live webinar from Augie's platform where I sit down with thought leaders to explore real-world parenting topics, get FAQs answered, kind of like an Ask Me Anything, and share practical takeaways you can use right away. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Augie for partnering with That's Total Mom Sense to bring connection and support to parents everywhere. Let's dive into this live webinar episode.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get started in a few seconds. First, I am the founder and CEO of Augie, and I'm genuinely so thrilled that you're here and that I get to be here and moderate this conversation. It feels really special to me as someone building a company to support parents. I look up to these three women so deeply. They're changing how we talk about caregiving, ambition, identity, and the invisible systems underneath it all. So getting to share this virtual stage with you three is a pinch me moment in my career for sure. So today we're talking about something so many parents feel in their bones but rarely have language for, and that's the mental load. The planning, the tracking, the remembering, anticipating, the emotional labor, all of the things. So welcome. I'm so glad you made space for this in the middle of what I'm sure is already a full day for you. A few housekeeping notes. This event is being recorded. Just so you know, you'll be able to catch up on the recording live on Augie TV after it's done. Feel free to drop questions into the Q&A, and I'll do my best to get those questions answered. But in the meantime, let's kick it off and get started. So Neha, you're first on my screen. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. I agree. These are incredible women to be alongside, Lily, you included.
Thank you.
And it's the privilege of my lifetime to get to do the work I do with women I admire. So my name's Neha Ruch. I live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which is where I'm calling in from. I have two kids, ages 10 and 7, a dog named Coconut. And I spent a decade in brand marketing before wanting to be at home with my first son. And that inspired my work, which is to really rethink and reexamine the tropes surrounding stay-at-home motherhood in America. I just launched a book this time last year called The Powerhouse. It is all about reimagining and rewriting the narratives for women who are making shifts for family life to walk through it with confidence and clarity and a sense of possibility, and of a platform of the same name to help women do that on the go. So I am thrilled to join and thrilled to talk about this thing that I get to live and research all the time.
Well, thanks, Neha. Hi, Sheila.
Hello. Hi, Lily. Thanks for having me. Yeah. So as Neha mentioned, such an honor. And I think even before the book was out, what really resonated to me, and I met Neha and then Kanika at the same event in my home, was that I took a power pause. And so very proud of that. So I'm Sheila, Lirio, Marcelo. I founded a company, care.com. And I did the pause, and then now I'm off to Ohai. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And of course, our identity and full identity couldn't be complete without talking about my two kids, who's now are 33, Ryan, and Adam is 26, our dog Teddy. I live with all male, including my husband, but I've been blessed with a granddaughter named Beautiful Cece through my amazing, daughter-in-law, Chloe. So super excited to be here with everyone.
That's awesome. Being a grandma, I heard, is even better than being a mom.
Best.
So, yeah. Well, hi, Kanika.
Hi, Lily. Thank you so much for having all of us. This is a fun reunion. We all hung out at the Grand Pursuit retreat. So glad to be doing this virtually. I call myself, I'm Kanika Chadda-Gupta. I call myself kind of jokingly a 3M, a media mom of multiples. I am a former CNN international anchor and mom of 3. I have twins who are 8 and a 7-year-old. And I host the podcast, That's Total Mom Sense. And both Neha and Sheila have been on the show, and I've, again, had the pleasure of moderating for their book launches and at the Grand. And other guests include Chelsea Clinton, America Ferrera, Kelly Rowland. And I bring on these luminaries by design because I want to hear from them on how they're navigating parenthood. We all have a different way, and we all have fun hacks and tips to share. And it's so interesting for us to glean from one another. I've been fortunate to work with the White House, Mom 2.0, March of Dimes. And I feel like it's really important for us to get buy-in from brands and institutions to move the needle forward. And I'm great to have, it's great to be having conversations like this, where again, we can share and learn from one another. That's the only way we feel supported.
3 kids. You're an inspiration.
I blacked out after that. I was like, that is really like above all other.
But Sheila, I too also am in a house of boys, so I feel for you. Okay, let's start by naming what we're really talking about when we say the mental load. Sheila, how do you define the mental load in the context of modern parenting today?
Yeah, Lily, you touched on it. You used the words having to always remember, anticipate, worry. All that equates into piling up on top of each other, and it's really driving exhaustion. And so when I think about it and relating to modern parenting, certainly I raised my kids years ago, but Alexis, who's on our team, she has 3 kids. And she actually had Theo in July, and I'm sure she's listening in on this, but I'm always amazed by how much she's juggling. On top of working at Ohai, she's also figuring out school schedules, meal plans. Oh my gosh, scanning 11-page letters and newsletters from the school and trying to figure out where is that activity for the child, right? It's a lot. And then on top of that, with Theo, the different feeding, napping schedules, and we hold all of it. That's really the mental load. And it's not the actual physical task, because we can always try and figure out how to delegate and find help. But it is the constant worrying. Did I miss anything? Does everybody have what they need? And that is in the middle of the night before you go to bed. And when you wake up first thing in the morning, did I forget this? Oh my gosh, it's that day. It's picture day and I forgot about it. It's that. I think then it creates anxiety. And what ends up happening is we lose our identity in this role. And I very much value the role. All of us on this Zoom value the role of caregiving. But with the mental load, we start to lose ourselves in that.
Yeah. I was on a podcast and I just was talking about everything on my plate to her, and I used it as a venting session. And I was like, whoa, I really needed to get that off my chest because it is real. And Sheila, you reminded me, I did forget something this week for my son, which was the library card. And I'm still kicking myself for it. He went to school. All of the other kids had their library cards. It was like a big trip, and I forgot his card. And I remember everything, but even that one drop can kind of wipe out all of the things that I've done up until that moment.
And that miss starts to bleed into self-judgment.
Yep.
And we create stories and narratives around it. And so that also piles on.
Yeah. Neha, how would you say the mental load differs from just being organized, right? Like, what do you add in your mind on top of just like, okay, I have to get this thing done and this thing done? Like, talk about the weight that you carry when it comes to the mental load.
No, it's interesting. I was thinking about the mental load in the context of like being the emotional barometer of the home, right? And I think if I were to think about why I carry it, right? It's not just I want my daughter to have pants that fit her. It's, I want my daughter to feel confident when she walks in that room, and I would lose sleep if she were to be teased because of her. And so it's, it's not just, it's the sort of forward planning for how to protect the joy and health of our family.
Yeah.
And I think in that way, it's so nuanced and so deeply emotional. And that's the work. There's sort of another side of this conversation that I talk about a lot, which is that caregiving has for so long been written off and dumbed down to just like the logistics of diapers and laundry, when in reality, it's I'll tell you, you wake up in the morning and you see spots on your son's hands and you think, oh my gosh, what could that be? And how's that going to impact how he is able to participate in school? So there's the research around like, what is that on his hand? And then there's the advocacy of like writing the school ahead of time to say, he's dealing with this thing and I don't know how he's going to be able to participate in the classroom. And then it's the sort of emotional regulation to deal with the frustration that I can now anticipate is going to happen at the end of the day, right? It's a broad spectrum of everything. And it's that emotional and intellectual labor that is often written off, that is actually like the deep work that keeps us up at night.
Yeah. And then Kanika, I guess I'm coming to you for this because I know you speak to so many parents, but how do partners sometimes misunderstand this concept? What do you hear?
Yes, I think it's so important to kind of have a fair play model in the home. I'm giving a shout out to Eve Brodsky, who wrote the book Fair Play. And it's not just something that you can kind of employ with your partner, but your entire family. I think it's so important to have the check-ins, nightly check-ins. My husband Sunil and I do this every night at 8:45. It could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour, but it's just kind of to do the brain dump of all the tactical things every day. And then making sure that you play on everyone's strengths. And so one thing that we do is we have a schedule. I have it right here, and Ohai makes this even easier. So I'm excited for Sheila to share. But this is this week, and
a printout.
Yeah, it's
I
a
love
printout.
That.
My husband's very analytical, and he actually is the back office manager of all of their sports. I'm the primary caregiver and default parent. I always say that the default parent is who would the school call?
Yep.
It's a problem. So that's me because I'm in Jersey and here, and he works in the city. But he will create the schedule for us Monday through Friday on who's going to what game, practice, activity, when. And it keeps changing. We have Team Snap as an app. It keeps changing. So he'll be like, Thursday's game's canceled. So now, so Hannah doesn't have anything, but Chris and Trey do, And so he leaves this printout for me. And then I'm the one who's actually doing all the pickups and the drop-offs and everything. But it's like you make sure that your partner has some skin in the game and does what they can do to contribute so that it does feel fair. It's never going to be 50-50. It's never going to be an apples to apples comparison of what you both are doing. But that makes it feel more fair in our home.
I want to get into go ahead, Sheila.
I was just going to build on that. It's so,
Please.
I love it that there's an equity on paper because you guys are super coordinated around that. And there's also, it seems like equity in the brain part, right?
Mhm.
Which is that accountability and who's doing the thinking. I mean, my husband is awesome. He's a nurturer. That's why we at Ohai call it the chief household officer because you can take turns. But one of the things that I learned a lot is to let go, meaning it goes both ways, right? If we're saying we're going to split the task, and that means fully letting go in my brain that he's going to do it his way. And I'm going to be okay with that, whatever outcome. And then I don't get to go home and say, well, I would have done it this way. Because this we did with our kids and giving away homework and taking care. And I used to like write everything down and delegate to him. And it got to a place where he's like, I've got it. If you really want me to participate equally on the mental load, because I know we're talking the mental load, that means also fully letting, it's just like leading companies or leading your home. It's like, it's letting go of that part that allows your partner to help out in. And that is part of the mental load.
I love the concept of letting go, but I have a question for you. What if your partner says they will do that task, but then they don't get it done? How do you handle that when it comes to the mental load?
I think I've done it similarly in leadership. It really is a conversation around what happens to the full family and the repercussions and the outcomes around that, right? And to fully discuss it in an open communication so that your spouse fully understands that my following up with you is not a nagging role that I have, nor do I enjoy.
No.
Right. And it really is about sitting down and talking about it. And that my letting go means that the accountability has to go. And it includes the emotional part that Neha mentioned. It's super important. Right. And that means I can fully let go with my brain and rest and take care of me if that becomes the priority. But that really requires a communication and a debrief, not only in the planning that Kanika mentioned, but even in the after. How do we execute this together? Let's have a debrief. And have an open communication around it.
I love that, a feedback loop.
Because I am actually the one that sometimes drops the balls. My husband, I've never wanted to do fair play with him because I think he would be holding many more cards. He is an operator. I would like to think of myself as like the strategist and the visionary, but he is the executor, And so, I'll give you an example. My son's 10th birthday we threw last Sunday, and I said I was going to handle the thank you notes. He didn't really care who was going to handle it. He just wanted to know it was going to get done. And he reminded me a few times. And then he finally checked in on Sunday and was like, okay, when do you want to do this? And maybe we'll just sit side by side. And I think that he has learned over the years, he's to give me the benefit of the doubt that I really do want to do it. And sometimes I just need scaffolding to do it. And it's not like, and I present myself as the like bad one in this case, because it's to say that I think knowing your partner and you are on the same team with the same shared objectives is so incredibly important.
Yeah.
Because you are two co-founders, right, of this most important organization, and you both have a vested interest in it thriving. And sometimes total responsibility transfer works. And sometimes someone's brain is carrying a lot of other tabs and needs like gentle reminding. I'll give you another example. He manages our finances, but we both do like monthly annual budgeting planning and then monthly reviews. And every month at the top of the month, I'm supposed to tag my expenses before the first Friday of the month.
I would dread that task, by the way.
For the first 2 years, my Uber habit, oh God, it's so hard. But the first 2 years, this was like a really hard practice for me to get into. And so he would send me calendar invites, and we just talked about the systems to support me to do this task that I was obviously not equipped to do for some reason, or resisting. And in the end, it was pattern recognition and a lot of communication and a lot of giving each other the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a more unique situation than what I've heard of in the majority of heterosexual relationships in this country. I've spoken to a lot of default parents. I have noticed and learned that that default parent happens to usually be the woman in the household. So Sheila, I'm coming to you. Even in households that look equitable, moms often still do more. Why is that?
First of all, can I just build on the team sport?
Of course.
Without stereotyping genders, because like Neha, the reason the chief household officer is super important in the way that I view things, because without ever judging households, and the way we built care.com, the way we're building Ohai, and I think it's really important. I think there's a natural place, given societal norms, and I am answering your question, given societal norms, that it's very easy to fall into the role and to also start to feel like the victim in the role. And so I have always believed of giving families choice of whatever they decide, the structure that they want without judgment. And I love Eve, and I think fair play totally works. And for me, for my household, but may not for others. And so in my sense, wherever you are in the world, in whatever culture you were raised, and what you guys are able to do as a team as co-founders, because co-founders, when you're a co-founding company, are also different roles. And it is about choice and having the actual conversation as a team sport to say, okay, well, what are different people's strengths, preferences, a reality check? Is one person more high in executive function? Is the other person much more leaning in around nurturing, emotional, and communication? It happens in teams too. It's a sense of mosaic. And I think it's about really viewing the family as a team-oriented approach to what we're doing. And again, I'm not saying one is 80, one is 20, one is 50, one is 50. I'm not judging around that because every family makeup is so different. I went through a period where my second child, I had to beg my parents to come because both of us were working at a startup. So guess what? Parenting also included the grandparents.
Yep.
So to then say that Ron and I were going to go figure out 50-50 got a little more complicated, but that's what we needed in our lives at the time, right? Because we were both at startups and then my father fell ill. Then suddenly we were both in the caregiving mode again. And so I do think we have to give families choice. And I think the approach, and I love how Neha put it too, is like a sense of team.
Yeah.
That is how we need, and what works for you. Right. And that I think is when we build things, we need to build things with that in mind to allow for the flexibility for families.
I love that. Kanika, what does your household dynamic look like? And I love that printout technique. So I want to know a little bit more about how you landed on that being the right solution for you and your household.
Yeah, we love the printouts and reminders everywhere. I think it's just something so visual that even my kids can take a cue from. If I feel like there's so many millennials out there, if you remember Full House with the family meetings, we do.
Oh, of course.
Hold a broom, and that's the person who gets to talk. And so we like to have just kind of open lines of communication whenever, like even just to talk extemporaneously and about what they're doing in their sports or at school or something that's related to the home. I think that's really, really important to foster when the kids are at a young age. And with just keeping everyone's roles in check, another printout that I have, it's framed and it's at our mudroom. This is after school. So the kids have to remember, it says, did you remember your bento box, lunch bag, water bottle, laptops, hoodie or blazer, homework, and reading? And it's like such a quick glance that did I put all of those things away? Because I don't want it to fall on me. I don't want to be, sifting through their backpacks and being like, you forgot, kid number 2, you forgot your water bottle. No, they have to do that on their own. And it just elicits this executive functioning that we all want them to have.
And ownership and accountability.
Yes.
For the team.
Exactly.
For the whole team. For the team.
Yeah. Even the JV team, which could be the kids.
Yes.
It's funny. My husband and I had tiff at the beginning of the school year because I was like, and he luxuriates in the morning. He spends an hour like I don't know what he's doing with this like half an hour shower. Whereas I'm like getting the kids ready. I'm giving them a pep talk for the day. And it's like, you have no idea the things that have the snacks need to go in, the homework needs to be checked. He was like, what if the kids do it? Like, right. And it was such a simple, there is another participant in the team. And so, it's an interesting thing when you can start to diversify the load among additional players.
I feel like Sheila, go ahead, Kanika. Yes.
Yeah, one more thing, just because this, like my husband actually inspired our family to take on one less task, or both of us to take on one less task, and that was laundry. Mm-hmm. I was like just flabbergasted that he was like, nope, our 5-year-old can do his own laundry. And the reason why he thought to do that was his mom had a hysterectomy when he was like 8. Mm-hmm. And she literally was bedridden for many months, and said, all 3 of my boys are going to start taking ownership of laundry. So just like, Eve's fair play cards, we taught them end to end. Of course, we have to monitor when they're throwing in a load, how much soap goes in, all of that. But the last half of it, they do on their own. So they take it from the hamper to their bed. We bought an Amazon, it's like a folder thing. Yeah. When they were younger, and now they don't need it anymore. And then it goes in your drawer, and then now laundry is done. And it's so funny. I was like, are you sure that the young kids will be able to do it? And he said, kids were mining coal when they were 4 years old during World War II. Yes, they can do the laundry, let go. It's not going to be perfect, but let them do it. And when they're teenagers, you're going to thank me. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. So it's a team sport.
I love that. I was going to say, Sheila, I feel like our friend Susie from Hearth would love that visual calendar that Kanika just showed. And Kanika, you were making me realize your kids don't really have to know how to read yet to even follow a schedule. You can make a visual schedule like that and they can follow along. And so you're giving me a good tip I can take away from this. I love actionable things that people can go on and do. And so just quickly, something my husband and I have started to do is, for us, an 8:45 meeting didn't work. We realized we're both tired. That's not the right time for us to have the conversation. However, a 30-minute once a month during the workday that we both block out on our calendar, and not to diminish his role. I am not saying this I kind of manage him like a colleague, like I would a colleague. I have a one-on-one agenda. We go through it together. We both do calendar invites from there live on this meeting. We go through the next month ahead of everything. And then I have things I can hold him accountable to when we meet the next month. So that's really worked in our household as a tip if anybody needs it. Sheila, do you want to talk quickly about how Ohai can play a role in helping to manage this load?
Yeah, but you guys are all giving your tips, right? I mean, I heard the word scaffolding from Neha that she needed it, right? I heard the brain dump on the sheet of paper that you guys debrief on, right? And how we all need support tools, and how you're doing this with your husband. And so our approach is really that, I've had Aline, my assistant. I've been very fortunate since the start of my career. She's been with me 25 years. She's also probably listening into this. And I feel very fortunate because she anticipated things for me. We got to know each other through the years. We built trust. She knew when I was overtaxing myself. She would schedule a nap. She would schedule meditation. She would remind me not to do a red eye, or I'm taking too many meetings. And I started to realize that support, especially having Aline in my life, became not a luxury, but became just part of my infrastructure and scaffolding, Neha, right? And so it allowed me to release the mental load because she was anticipating things for me. And so after care, I thought I was done. I thought I was like, I've lived a purpose-driven life. I've served millions of families with what we did in foundedcare.com. But I went through my own sabbatical and actually had to rest my body. This is the beauty of the pause that Neha wrote about. And I came to the realization that this mental load was so heavy. just as much as care was heavy for me, it became proximate in my experience. It also was so proximate to me. And Aline was one of my inspirations where, I said, I've had the blessing and the gift of life to figure out how to rest, how to pause, because I've had support.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a luxury for me. And so why wouldn't I, which I've been doing throughout my career, use the power of technology to help families again? And then this time, it's everyday life coordination. It's that checklist we saw that Kanika just put up, right? What's the scaffolding? How does it anticipate? How does the beauty of this tool allow us to just take things off our plate so we can be better parents, show up more, right? Take care of ourselves, sit down on meals, not rush our nutrition for the kids of doing takeout, because it's mad at the end of the day after soccer practice and you're driving back. You're like, oh my God, I haven't done the meal plan. What do I do? Do I just order Chinese? Do I just figure it out? It's the anticipation. It is using the power of technology to plan ahead and provide that beautiful word, scaffolding. I mean, and that is what we're building. It's an operating system for families.
I love that. I heard you talk a little bit about, all the things that go into the mental load. And I feel like the mental load doesn't just drain time, it can drain you. How do we protect who we are outside of what we manage? And Neha, I guess I'll start with you. How has caregiving shaped or challenged your sense of identity?
It's funny. When I had my first child at 30, and in my 20s, I really came up with my pitch for myself. Like I knew what my identity was based on what I did professionally. And then I loved interior design, I loved travel. I sort of put it all together and I had this like ironclad way of presenting myself. Then I had my first son, and I really felt struck by the awe of it. They define awe as the sort of like vast sense of a life that is bigger. And I think it really took me by surprise, just like that there was this whole other life. And I let myself really dive into it, probably at my own detriment, right? And I think I remember just really feeling like suddenly this child and understanding how his little brain worked and the rhythms, like this was my new sense of self. And it really took me getting experience in motherhood to like realize like he was well served by my wholeness, that I needed to find room again for support, find room again for play, find room again for my marriage and my friendship, and to really be able to show up fully in this season of life. But I think what it did do, what family life did and what parenthood did, was it stripped away the ego. Like I put down the armor, I put down the pitch of my 20s and let myself feel into and feel through this last decade of parenthood, until I do feel like I have a stronger sense of self and identity. But it was sort of, I let myself dive headfirst into motherhood and then realize what I needed and wanted to shape a more whole self. But I do think for the people tuning in who are new into it, like in those like early months, and it's okay if like you're just in it and you're just like letting yourself soak into it. At some point you'll feel a little nudge of like, I want to follow that curiosity, or I'm craving a little bit more. And at that point you can get more systematic about how can I dignify this time and explore other parts of myself. But I think it's okay for a moment or a season of full family life.
Thank you for addressing the people that may feel in the trenches right now, because those early days and those first few years are real. And often a lot of people feel lost. And Kanika, coming to you, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling lost in this role?
Lost as a caregiver?
Yeah, maybe loss of identity with becoming a parent.
Yes, as hard as it is, because especially living in the States and living in these vacuums that are our nuclear family units,
Mm.
you have to create your own village.
Yeah.
And that means putting yourself out there and asking for help and making sure that you kind of delegate and not just shoulder everything on your own. And a quick way to do this, like if you have kids who are going to sports and are a little older, this is the phase that I'm in. I made friends with the baseball moms and asked a few of them to help with carpooling. And I felt really awkward because I was like, they're totally not going to ask me to pick up their kid because they're at everything. And here I am like asking, a favor. But I just knew that, with my kids so close in age, I can't be in 3 places at once. I don't want to have to schlep all of them in the minivan. And I'm going to just have to ask, and so you just have to bite that bullet and do that sometimes. And I do want to share a few resources that helped me. So in the early days, I used to call, there's a postpartum hotline. It was free for New Jersey residents. And I feel like every state has this. It's going to be like a 1-800 or 188 number. And even like months into my 4th trimester, I would call like on a weekly basis. And I, in fact, made this friend, her name was Pat. She had a British accent. And she helped me when I was ugly crying about all of the shit that we had to deal with. I'd be like, I just pumped. This kid had a blowout. We got to go somewhere. I'm like, my husband and I are fighting. This sucks. Can you help me through it? And she was there for me. And she was this lifeline. Yeah. And if you have therapy or, something like that, I feel like that is what all caregivers need. But if you don't have the access or means or what have you, know that there are hotlines out there to help you, and your OB and pediatrician can give you those numbers. That's how I found mine. And then recently on the show, I interviewed the founder of the new mom school. Her name is Alex Spitz. And she's so lovely. She started this school for moms, and it's a franchise model. So it's all over the country now. If you just Google the new mom school, it'll come up. But she is helping moms create a village from scratch. So it's you sign up and you take like these classes, but it's not mommy and me. It's based on how old your kid is. So if you have a 3-week-old, you are going to be in a class with 10 other moms who have 3 weeks old kids. And now you get to have a powwow with them and be like, what's happening at your house? How are you dealing with nighttime? And then she said that how so many of the moms have come back to her and said that we've made friends throughout various phases of our kids' lives, but the ones that were in the new mom school with them and the kids like playing and tumbling together in that circle time that they had are super tight, like years later. So
Yeah.
make your village. You can do
It's
it.
so fascinating because one of the things that comes up a lot in the Augie community is camaraderie and the value that that plays. A lot of the default parents actually don't want to lessen their mental load. What they want is solidarity and camaraderie in the mental load, and then on the flip from their village, and then on the flip side from their partner, what they really want is appreciation and acknowledgement. And I just have one follow-up question, Kanika. What did those moms say when you asked them to pick up your kids from baseball, and have you picked up their kids in return?
Yeah, I still haven't. And I ask all the time. I'm like, I can pick up Grayson, I can pick up Ben. And it's
Okay,
like,
your day's
well, we're
coming.
good. Yeah, they just I feel like I live in Montvale, New Jersey. Like a lot of the families are very local and so they're kind of at everything. But they were totally cool with it. And I didn't have to have this trepidation. And it's not like I cash in the favor all the time. I'm very mindful of that. But I'm so glad I did it because it just led to like more sanity and less being frazzled for me.
Yeah, and how lucky that you have that group to be able to lean on that shows up.
Yeah.
There's
And
all
if you
that
don't have a
drama.
WhatsApp group, start one.
Exactly.
Start one. Just be
Well,
like,
there's all that drama with Ashley Tisdale. You three ladies may see it. There's mom chat drama. She apparently got kicked out of her mom chat, and people are giving her a lot of shit. But my takeaway was from the whole thing was I actually just felt sorry for her that that was her experience with her mom friend group, because that is so the opposite of my experience with my mom friends. Like, it is so raw, the relationship I have with these women. And I actually think parent friends, not just mom friends, are really unique because you make them later on in life and they become really deep friendships really quickly. So anyway, yeah, I felt
I
bad.
would add that, there's so much nuance with this
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was more on that Ashley Tisdale piece that we can certainly have like a whole other panel of.
Yeah.
But I think that it's okay that not everyone is best friends and not everyone in your village has to be your lifelong friends.
Yeah.
I think in early motherhood, we're given this false narrative, like so many false narratives, that you have to have like a mom gang and you're going to be walking in a row of 7 women who are all like perfectly coordinated outfits with strollers, and you're going to go to brunch if you have one friend in this season of life that is walking the same path and you can spend 1 hour a week with someone in the same life stage, it is scientifically proven to reduce your cortisol and like improve your happiness. And Jenny Wallace wrote this incredible book, Never Enough. And when I asked her what is the commonality between all the families with healthy, striving children, it was that the mom spent 1 hour a week with one other woman raising children of the same age. Not her best friend, not a gang of 7 of you, not people who are going to be in your life during retirement. And I think if we take the pressure off and just allow ourselves to collect the different people in different corners of our life that are walking this path with us, they're going to be people that work for one season and not the next.
Yeah, I think you taught me that. Different friends for different seasons. And I liked that a lot. And sometimes those friends can be in your life for all of the seasons, right? But you need what you need in that moment. Okay, I want to make sure we get to this, Sheila, for Ohai, and just maybe other tips that you've learned over the years from delegating and managing a lot of people. So it's going to be a 2-part question. The first is, what role can tech systems play in making the mental load more shareable?
Yeah.
And then I'm curious just to hear a little bit from you on like delegation, because I often feel that sometimes delegation feels harder than doing it myself, but it's so important to delegate.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I've been using tech to solve things, to offload for families, but at the core of it, and it's strange that I'm building an AI. We actually named it Ohai because it's humanity within AI. I spent a lot of time talking to families and to parents and asking and being on the ground saying, well, what is it that will reduce the pain of the everyday life when we're coordinating? And I do it with friends. I had dinner with friend Jocelyn Mangan, who actually runs Illumin Impact. She's putting hundreds of women on boards, and she's incredible. But she's juggling 3 kids. And she basically says, Sunday night, I spend hours upon hours coordinating the schedule, just like Kanika's sheet with her husband. She's doing it solo, and she's figuring it out. And she says, but you know what it is? It's, Kanika said, Team Snap, Google School. I'm like juggling 5 or 6 different things, Sheila. And I just wish somebody would just do it for me. And then I called her back a week later and I said, I'm going to have my product team interview and we're going to build it for you. And so, in fact, we have a long wait list. We've got families after long list of families that we're working with now who are building this with us. We call it the Smart Ohai Sync internally. We're launching it very, very soon. And it's anything, we're just doing it for you. You just give it to us and we take care of all the behind the scenes, and it's the support. So I share that because the power of the technology now allows us to do these things. I came up with this idea of Ohai in 2015 when Kara had just gone public. The tech wasn't ready. The tech is here and now to truly offload it for families so that we can say it's done for you You don't have to do anymore. You're seeing this is a new branding. We're making it fun and simple. We're representing team. That's another big thing when you're talking delegation. We already touched on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Delegation makes it feel like I'm ultimately the CEO of the household, right? The reason why I'm saying chief household is that I do think it needs to be split amongst, and again, I'm not judging how you guys decide and how the team decides and different things. I love the ideas. I'm already going to tell my team, Lily, your takeaway is like you can do things in images, not even words, to delegate things to kids. There was another idea that I loved that you said. You heard from this community appreciation and an acknowledgement. We're going to do that more also in the park. So I always pick up these tips as I listen to what do families need and how do we activate technology to actually deliver that? Because at the end of the day, what I'm finding is we're so inundated. I mean, Kanika, how many apps do you use to summarize between you and her husband on like things you have to go look up schedules and emails that come in every week? And it's like,
yeah, at least five or six. There's Google Classroom, there's GradeLink, Class Dojo. There's a Team Snap.
The WhatsApp groups.
Okay.
I mean, it's all,
and that's for our family. And then you guys, I have this habit now where I go to 6 different communication apps, right? Just to check, am I missing anything? And of course, there's also the stuff for family, separate from that, from work related things, right? It just, the app overload. So the feedback we get from families is, don't give me another tool, Sheila, that I got to go learn. I just want it done for me. And so really listening so that support, again, doesn't feel like work. The constant thing we hear from families, like, if you're going to give me more to do, then that's not a product that's working for me.
No.
It's got to be something. And so that really is our goal here at Ohai. And that's part of the reason, even though you had asked me the question, how do we leverage tech? It comes down to what do the humans really need? And listening, really listening to what we need, and then building the technology, not so much in a smart way, but in a much more simple way, and in a way that makes it just easy. That's really my focus.
I can really relate to that because we just went through the whole school application for my son, and even learning how to use the tool to do the applications was a barrier.
Is the mental load.
Yes.
That's the mental load.
Like
you're adding it.
Yeah, that I feel that deeply. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but I do want to just talk a little bit about delegation in your households for your village and how you manage that. So not just your partner, but maybe the caregivers that you have on your team. If anyone wants to jump in. Is my Wi-Fi okay?
No, it's great. I can start us off. I think, one of the pieces that it's so important to acknowledge is also all of this is shifting. Your team looks different year over year, right? Even your co-founder's capacity in the case of a 2-parent household is different. So, I make this joke that my husband carries more cards in the language of fair play now. But I was just thinking back that if you looked at us from the years of 2016 to 2020, oh yeah, her Wi-Fi was no bueno. From 2016 to 2020, it was complete 2021. It was so different. And I think being able to check in at the top of the year and decide, what are we trying to optimize for the two of us, and who has more capacity right now for some things or more interest, and when do you need each other, and where do we want to lessen the load in some areas, right? And how can we invest? This ties into financial budgeting. Where can we invest maybe in a cleaning person to come twice a week, or a babysitter to block and tackle 4 afternoons a week? I think begins with that check-in with your partner to decide who are the other people you're bringing in, and how are you together deciding what you need then on a week-to-week basis so you can together communicate. I think that, I'm on the people ops side, so I manage all the other, if we decide on a Sunday that we need an extra clean and an extra set of hands, we decide at our family admin meeting on a Sunday, we are going to need extra support this week because someone has a meeting and someone else has a doctor's appointment. And then I will on Sunday communicate to all the different people, be it a babysitter or a cleaning person or a a friend's parent who's going to handle a pickup or a play date. We'll do that. We'll try and do that communication at the top of the week so that we then Google Calendar everything between us. And some people, like our babysitter, we actually add to our Google Calendar so that she has visibility to the kids' schedules and any changes in the school
brilliant.
calendar.
I love that. Kanika, any tips on your end?
Yeah, I think I now involve my in-laws because they stay with us for a good portion of the year. Sheila knows. And it's great. And same thing. So the printout is helpful for them too. And that stays in the kitchen. And so they know that it's like, oh, we're actually taking this pickup and Kanika gets to stay home and still work. And same thing as Neha had mentioned, it's all added to the Google Calendar. So everyone knows where they have to be when.
And Sheila, if Ohai can eventually do this for me, one of the best things I've ever done for myself, my nanny, and my husband is to go through the class schedule at the beginning of the year. And it's not that I just need to know the days off and when they are. I need to know a week before so I can mentally prepare for that next week. Oh, Monday, whatever is MLK Day, that's coming up. I know my nanny has off. Or if my son Jackson doesn't have school for teacher training day, I know I need to notify my nanny that she's going to have both kids for the whole day that day. And so I get these reminders a week before. And anyway, it's been very helpful.
We've already built that.
Perfect.
We integrated 67,000 school districts this fall. We're uploading their new calendars now as well. We actually uploaded in December for this semester. And so it takes you 2 seconds to pick your school. And if you have a private school, let us know. We'll upload that and move and work with the private school. And so that you will always have it if you're a member. So that's already there and the reminders are there. But the feedback Jocelyn gave me is that's not enough. Right, Lily, they wanted, Team Snap and all the other Class Dojo and the homework so that's really what we're also summarizing. It's not just MLK Day. It's all of it because
I love it.
It's just overwhelming for families. But I also wanted to say, and I think again, Neha and Kanika are inspiring me around this, which is, we talk about support. We talk about taking care of ourselves, coming into our motherhood, as Neha said, and giving us the permission to do that. And then eventually really taking care of you, right? And Kanika saying, hey, we've got either the one mom or your group of 7 moms, even if you're the same jogging suit. But you just need one, as the data shows. We are doing a Galentine's event. And my dear friend, this is February 12th. I want to invite the Augie community. And this is in New York, but it's an Ohai there. I'm doing a new series. I used to do Care to Gather last year. I'm doing an Ohai there series of dinners. And this one's going to be in New York. And my friend Lavinia, the founder of Equinox, is flying in for this for me.
Amazing.
And we're going to do a whole thing around just the dump. Kanika, you called it the dump. Let's just go dump. Let's get our mental load on topic here, right? And then really to focus on ourselves, not to fix anything, come in comfy. There'll be a lot of pink. It'll be just totally chill and really focus on ourselves, which is what Neha says, like, that's the pause. It's that you get to really enjoy motherhood, come into it, be full in it, but that's not our whole identity. Part of the mental load is releasing that so that we can be ourselves. We can draw, we can do, like I started drawing, like there's a lot of things that we get to enjoy about being ourselves, that our identity is not just caregiving.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know anything better than what we should end on, that caregiving doesn't have to be our only identity. I so appreciate Neha, Kanika, Sheila for you joining us for this conversation. Sheila, I believe everybody may be getting gifted Ohai who's on this call. So
that's right.
Great. Stay tuned for more info on that. Definitely check out the Power Pause. It is an incredible book, but even calling it a book doesn't do it justice. It's a movement. And Kanika's podcast and everything that you're doing, make sure to follow her, and we will share more info on all three of these ladies. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is @Kanika Chadda-Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't already. Thanks for being in my tribe.